Interesting thread. Allow me to contribute. I am a contracting and HVAC load consultant and have been for many years. I moved to Orange County in 1998 for work and eventually found myself leading a very small project on the upcoming decommission of MCAS El Toro. My job was basically to go into each one of the barracks and outlying buildings that even the Marines had not been using for years and tell my boss which ones were worth keeping in the original condition, which turned out to be almost none, for reasons that I will explain. Well, work started in early 2000 on our Site A work area, which was a number of old family-style two-story barracks along the northwest side of the base. For the most part, these were uneventful, only running into the occasional wild animal as I checked for buildings with salvageable ducting. The first few weeks of work passed without incident. Close Site A, open Site B. This work area is straight southwest along the northwest perimeter and was comprised of smaller, older one-story barracks and offices. Here is where shit starts to hit the fan. Site B, I left Soma on our paperwork because I loved me some dinos. It is much smaller than Site A and shouldn't take as many man-hours to go through. So I jump ahead in my assignment and start inspecting the larger buildings on the other side of the base. Well, 2 days into work, I get a call from my boss while I'm out in the field. These guys say they found something they want you to take a look at, and they are refusing to get back to work until you do so. Fine, I say, and I jump in my truck and take my time meandering across the airfield, enjoying the break from playing phone tag with military personnel all day. When I get there, all 6 of my clean crew guys are standing around outside, looking nervous. These are big guys. Most of them are the kind that get paid to go through abandoned homes and tear out their rotten foul guts for remodel or teardown. I know 2 of them personally, and the one that's directly in charge of their group is a close friend of mine. Let's call him Matt. Matt looks considerably less worried than everyone else and walks up to my truck, shaking his head. He looks apologetic and says sorry that I have to deal with this before leading me into one of the larger, squat brown offices. I'm expecting to see something utterly foul, like a pile of human fecal matter or a large rotting animal corpse, which, in hindsight, probably wouldn't have irked those guys in the first place, knowing where they've worked. I was completely unprepared for what I saw. Let's start with the stench, since that's the first thing that I noticed. It was so thick and foul, I could almost feel it touching my skin, and it smelled so beyond disgusting that I had to steel myself before taking another step. It was like a couple of months of organic decay, punctuated by mold, shit, and some bizarre chemical scent that I had not noticed in any of the other buildings. Taking that second step took a kind of courage that can only be described as an iron stomach. The next thing I noticed were the walls. The tan top layer of the paint was peeling away in long strips and clumps, revealing splotchy, dark, wet-looking paint beneath it that was rife with mold. At the time, I was wondering why this building was in such awful shape as compared to the ones directly surrounding it. Matt was looking at me carefully, and only then did I notice that he seemed a little off. Now, I've known Matt for years, since long before I moved to Southern California, and I cannot stress enough how stoic and stable this guy is under pressure. But right then, his body language said that he was on full alert. Well, I am thoroughly disgusted at this point, and Matt leads me around the bend of the entry hallway, carefully checking around the corner before he turns. His body language is really weirding me out at this point, and I'm starting to get a little on edge myself. As we turn, Matt steps out of the way so I have a clear view of the main room. Most of the furnishings have been pushed to the edges of the room and upended, leaving a clear space in the middle except for one item. Sitting there, dead in the center of the room, is a strange-looking stone pillar with what looks like a concave bowl carved into the top. Matt is silent and looking at me with wide eyes as I walk towards it. The floor is tacky, and my footsteps are loud squelches as I take a few steps into the room to get a better look at the pillar thing. As I get closer, the chemical scent in the area gets thicker and almost moist, and I am regretting leaving my respirator on my passenger seat. I'm close enough now to see the pillar clearly. It's rectangular, about 4 feet high and 1 foot across, and completely smooth, like well-poured concrete. The concave spot is about 4 inches deep and darkened, like something has been burnt in it. I did not take the time to run my finger through what looked like soot, but the whole ceiling directly above this altar was charred black and sooty. Still trying to rationalize, I look around the room. Matt hasn't moved from his spot in the hallway, and still hasn't said more than 4 words since we walked in. Again, totally atypical of this guy. It's then that I notice the symbols all over the walls, and that gross, rotting moldy paint. To this day, the only thing I've ever seen that looks even remotely like them are some of the rune and sigil threads we frequently see on X. I'm not talking pentagrams or hieroglyphics, but strange designs that are spaced all around the room and sometimes interconnect. I got closer to the nearest one and could see clear evidence of some sort of tool or sharp object having been used to create the marks, and that the others are similarly carved or scratched into the surface, and boy, do these marks look fresh. I mean, no mold growing in them, no paint, no nothing. At this point, I'm starting to what the fuck, but am still rationalizing it as a bunch of people just getting together like a cult and being creepy for fun, since apparently people do that. It is right then that Matt and I hear footsteps approaching, coming from the entrance hallway. We turn, expecting to see one of the other workers coming in to discuss something, but the footsteps just stop before ever coming around the corner. I've had enough of the stench and the strangeness, and I am ready to leave, so I walk towards the exit. So I'm leaving. Fuck this place. Daylight awaits in a land free of God-hating stench. The second, and I mean the second, my foot first touched the ground from my first step toward the exit, the whole building shook. Only for a split second, like when you're standing next to someone at home and they jump, and you feel the ground shake a little. I think to myself, the fuck was that, and hardly have time to finish my thought before the footsteps that we originally heard are now sprinting away from us, back out the hallway. Matt spins immediately and jumps straight back at me, his face pale and goosebumps all over his arms. I shit you not, I could see how scared he was. He turns and looks at me with a, "Did you just fucking hear that?" expression. "Let's get the fuck out of here," I said, and we quickly make our way towards the exit. Rounding the corner, we don't see anyone, but the door is now more than halfway closed. I specifically left the door open when I entered because of how absurdly awful the stench was, and now in the sliver of outline, I can see something hanging on the back of the door that I didn't notice on my way in. It's a fresh animal skull. Tongue and eyes still in place, but missing almost all of the meat that you would normally see. I'm nearly on the verge of soiling myself, and I ask Matt if he or any of the other guys had seen this, and he vehemently shakes his head, adamantly stating that it hadn't been there before, and that the other guys could back him up on that. There's a large nail going straight through the skull, attaching it to the door, and adding to the whole grotesque feel. I knock the door open with my foot, and we get the fuck out of there. We get out front, and back to the workers, who were all lounging in more or less the same positions that we left them in minutes before. I ask them if anyone had entered the building after we did, and they look at me like I'm crazy, which I suppose they thought I was for going in there. I ask again, thinking that skull had to come from one of the Mexican guys. Carnicerias are about the only place you can find a whole sheep or goat head, which is what I think the skull was, in Southern California. And that thing was fresh. They again look at me like I'm crazy and ask, "What skull?" I'm very thoroughly noping at this point, and a few of the braver guys venture into the door to have a look. They don't look twice, and their expressions tell me it is still there. They all fervently denied having been there when they first went in, just like Matt said, and also reconfirm that no one came in after us. So, resolution here. I call my boss and immediately tell him what just happened, and that I fully condone my crew not re-entering the building on grounds of possible health concerns. He goes quiet for a minute, then tells me he's been in touch with someone in charge at the MCAS and will call me back. I never hear back from him on the matter, but the next morning in the office, there is signed demolitions paperwork marking that building and the surrounding ones that I'd previously greenlit. The strange part is, I'm the person in the company that handles all of the demolition and renovation paperwork, and the paperwork requires a signature from myself and a witness. I got no explanation and was told to drop it upon inquiry. Well, that's my story. I know it was long ago and not that spooky, but it was nice to tell it again. I haven't in years. Matt and I fell out a little after that, and he left his job. He wasn't ever really the same after that. I would love to hear some speculation, and thanks for reading. This is actually pretty creepy. Since you never directly saw the parts of the building where the footsteps came from, couldn't it be someone was still hiding in there, attaching the skull to the door, and leaving through another exit/window, or just hiding again? Maybe they just wanted to scare you away so they can continue whatever the fuck they were doing there in the first place. Only rational explanation that I could think of. There is still the question to why the skull looked like this. I mean, they had to prepare it quite quick as reaction to you guys. Would be great if you could give infos concerning this, if it could be possible, or if there are reasons that speak against this. Like, no other exit, the guys searching the whole building before you got there, and so on. I mean, the guys outside had to see if someone would have attached that thing and closes the door, wouldn't they? One of the scary instances that happened to me. Apologize for being pre-funds, so no funds in this one. B20-something. Metalhead, with metalhead friends. NorCal East Bay area, before everything went to complete shit in that state. We all liked to party, and being in the Tri-Valley area, there was fuck all to do. We made things interesting now and then, and would find weird spots to get fucked up. One night, bored of getting fucked up at bro's house, decided to go somewhere and get shit-faced. One metalhead bro says he knows of an abandoned mine out on Tesla Road. We all agree, gather up bros and broettes, about 8 of us, grab beers, weed, flashlights, and head out. Drive up in the hills. Area around the Altamont Pass is always windy. Always. That's why there's so many windmills. Fucking wind howling that night. Brush and scraggly trees being bent this way and that. Blasting Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica as we drive. Takes a good half hour to get to the destination. Pick related. Park cars here. Pile out. Metal bro says no flashlights, as it is private property, and the light will be seen. Hop the gate, and start walking between the hills. Shit is creepy out here. Wind howling between the brown grassy mounds. Clouds making flickering shadows. Light alternating between bright to dark as they rip across the sky. Exit between 2 hills, and a rolling valley opens up. Way off in the distance is the only man-made light from a distant building. Walk along a dirt path that rounds to the right, about half a mile of walking. What the fuck, metal bro? You didn't say we'd have to walk this fucking far. Lazy asses. Distinct feeling of isolation, and can literally feel the distance between where we're at and where the cars are parked. Fuck. Hope nothing happens. As we round a bend, a pit opens up down the path, with old mine trailings piled up. Face of a large hill is scarred from early 1900s mining operations. Old abandoned equipment stands alone in the pit where the trailing are. Metal bro says nope. Entrance we need is up the face of it. Walk up a narrow path above the pit. When we get up to the top of the trail, Metal bro points. That's our entrance. What the fuck? Tiny opening we have to crawl for to get inside the mine. Everyone including bitches crawling in. I follow. Flashlights on. Big cave with tons of graffiti inside. Empty beers everywhere. Towards the back, 2 paths lead out of the main chamber, one to the left and one to the right. Right side is a vertical descent straight down, old wooden ladder with broken rungs. Left side is another large opening with a narrow trail around the circumference. Middle is filled with debris that slopes down into a pit on one side, like an antlion pit. Proceeded to get shit-faced. Beers drank, weed smoked. Maybe 45 minutes pass. Having good time. Hear noise. Not from entrance. From deeper inside the cave. Fuck, what was that? Everyone looking at each other nervously. Silence descends. Mood goes from party central to stone cold sober. Hear another noise. 2 brave or stupid bros decide they were going to look. Okay, have fun with that. Can't go down ladder. No fucking way to. Would be suicide for sure. They go the left path. Watch as the 2 idiots walk the narrow path around the antlion pit. Their flashlights disappear. As they reach the far side and continue on into another part of the mine, rest of us are silent, looking at each other. Moaning noise. Not even remotely human. It came from the vertical shaft. Almost positive. Cave with previously still air suddenly has movement. Can feel a very slight, very cold breeze. Can hear bros coming back, fast. More noises heard. Not just the noise of bros' shoes as they're coming back, but other noises. Like something moving, following after them. Oh fuck this shit. Bros say, get the fuck out. Cramming through tiny opening to get back outside. Wind screaming, clouds covering most of the sky, hardly any light. All of us are out. We're running back down the road. Look behind. Something shadowy emerges from the mine entrance. Jesus fuck. We are all running as fast as we can. The lights in the building way in the distance are off now. Car can be seen on the road where the building is, headed towards us, moving slowly but with purpose. We round the hill, hop the gate, and get in the cars, firing up the engines. Something is there, between the hills, away back from the gate. Holy shit, drive. Can see soft glow as the headlights from the vehicle that was driving up the path start to illuminate the side of the hill. Dark thing. Looks like it turns its head towards the direction the vehicle is coming, then darts up the right side of the hill into the darkness. Fucking haul ass out of there. No music on the way back. We are all silent. Bitches are shaking and almost in tears. Get back to bro's house. We all just look at each other for a few minutes, then call it a night. To this day, we don't know what it was, why it was chasing us. We never went back to that place again. I still think of that night, whenever the clouds are tearing across the sky in front of the moon. This is the second time I'm sharing this experience with anyone besides my partner. First time was a couple years back on this very board. Although the thread was moving so fast, I doubt anyone read it. I know the premise reads like a bad creepypasta, and doesn't hold up to the slightest amount of scrutiny. Nevertheless, I am fully convinced I did not dream or hallucinate this after corroborating the event with my uncle after the fact. If you are capable of suspending your disbelief, I hope you all find this story interesting. It mystifies me to this day. Be me, around 10 or 11 years old, on a vacation to Oak Island, North Carolina with my parents, siblings, grandparents, and uncle. One of the days we're there, we pile into our cars to catch a ride on the ferry off the island. If I recall, the destination was some adjacent island that had an aquarium. My parents and siblings are riding together. Chose to ride with grandparents and uncle, cause my uncle is one cool hombre. We're just riding along, early-ish in the day, summer sun shining bright. I believe we were trailing close behind my parents for the duration of the drive. Everything is normal. We're nearing the ferry checkpoint, just one less town we gotta drive through. I remember the town looking almost stereotypical, like a piece of preserved Americana, an antique of a town. Been over a decade now, so the imagery is spotty, but I distinctly remember a blue frilly decoration tied up near the entrance of the town. Cars line both sides, of what could be considered Main Street. Cafes, various random businesses, nice houses every so often. The first weird thing I noticed was one such cafe. Catch a glimpse through the window of people, except they weren't moving. Weird. Then a lady walking her dog, both completely frozen like mannequins. Next, a man working on his truck with a hose in one of his hands, completely frozen except for the hose, which was still running water. Eventually, we reach the checkpoint. The day resumes as normal. For the entire duration of the ride, and the rest of the day after that, nobody mentioned anything about the town that we just rode through. Even as I was witnessing it, I felt a strange sense and did not attempt to speak, to ask if anybody else was seeing this and what was happening. Oddly, didn't think about it much after. If I did, I chalked it up to a dream or imagination, since nobody mentioned it to me at the time or after. Many years later, hanging out with my uncle like usual, he's dicking around on the computer. Out of nowhere, he asked me, "Hey, Josh, do you remember the mannequin town?" Shit breaks, and feel like a weight has been lifted off me. We start discussing it with each other. One of us will bring up some random detail that was buried in our minds, and it instantly clicks like, oh shit, I do remember that. How could I have forgotten? We both recount that strange sensation of not wanting to talk about it as it was happening, and how weird it was that we just sat there and witnessed it like it was normal. It was pretty clear. He was pretty happy to finally talk about it, just like I was, just to know we're not crazy. Now every couple of years, one of us will bring it up again, like, you still remember Mannequin Town? That was wild. I think to make sure it really did happen, Lamau. So yeah, weird dealia. Dunno if we drove through some pocket dimension, or if we had a simultaneous, impromptu acid trip. Either way, that's really the only super strange thing I've ever experienced in my life. Did some cursory digging over the years, and never found any explanation, or even similar stories about Mannequin Town. Hey X, I have some OC I can contribute. It's not the craziest shit here, nor am I a gifted storyteller, but it is a true story of something that happened to me almost 10 years ago, and this will be my first time posting it anywhere. Summer 2010, I'm 18 and a prick about it. Rural Ontario, Canada. Fuck all to do. Hanging with GF at the time and her friend. For simplicity, we'll refer to GF as GF and her friend as AC. It's nearly 1 in the morning. GF and AC are looking up spooky places. Hey Anon, this one's actually not far. We should go there right now. My face when it's an hour-and-a-half drive from here. Be impulsive and agree to drive there. Me and GF in front, AC in back. For context, the place we were going is a small stretch of road that runs up the Niagara encampment on the outskirts of Burlington, known as the Magnetic Hill. Story is, if you put your car in neutral at the bottom of a certain hill on that road, it will slowly roll uphill from a dead stop, and if you spread a powder on your rear bumper, you will see finger impressions as though the car was pushed. I guess that due to the sharp corners and steep drop-offs, several people have died on this road, and there are many accounts of everything from paranormal activity to UFO sightings. I looked more into this after the fact. The night we went there, I only knew it was supposed to be haunted, and a spooky ghost might strong-arm my heavy old car up a hill. Get stuck listening to 2000s pop music, and autistic screeching from backseat the entire drive. Arrive pissed. Get to hill. Do the thing. Car barely moves an inch. No fingerprints. No happenings. Nothing at all. Waste of a night and half a tank of gas. What a joke. Light cig, and loudly proclaim this. Continue driving up the narrow winding road. Start saying shit to egg ghosts on out the window. Literally daring any presence to make a move. Throw a cigarette butt out window like a dick. In hindsight, I think that's what did it. A little about this car. I paid $250 for it. One of the many features that come with a $250 car, aside from having to start it with a screwdriver because a crackhead stole it, was that it didn't have a headliner. Turns out, they're not just there to look pretty, but also act as a sound deadener, so whenever anything touched that roof, you'd hear it loud and clear inside. Throw butt out window. Don't make it another 50 feet down the road when something knocks on the roof of the car. I mean a very loud, very distinct, and evenly spaced anybody home type of knock knock knock. This wasn't something that could be explained away by an acorn bouncing off or some shit. AC fucking loses it. Lets loose the squeal of 1,000 hogs. GF white with fear, wide-eyed, trying to look in all directions at once. I step on the gas, desperately checking my mirrors for something bouncing off the road that might explain it. Nothing there. Suddenly hear a rubbing and grinding loudly, as if someone is wedged up in the back of the passenger wheel well. Had to be the farthest one. Stop car and get out. Check everything. Look under the car, behind the tire. Nothing there. Notice that other than the engine idling, it was dead quiet. Same as other anons have described. No wind, and not a single living thing making noise, like the woods gets when there's a predator nearby. Start driving and noise is now gone. All occupants of the vehicle agree it's time to turn around. Make it around a couple of bends and the noise is back, but now I can feel it, so stop to check again. Fuck me, it's flat. Pick related. We brought a camera. Last thing I needed. GF and AC are losing their shit in the least helpful way possible. Not staying on this fucking road, I drive on the flat anyway. Close to the end of the road was a park with a small parking area and couple streetlights. Decide I'll change the tire here. Get to the park. Every lug nut is seized to the hub. Shitty car jack handle can't get the leverage I need to crack them loose. See the first of a car all night. Try to wave them down, but they floor it. Literally peel their tires to get away from us. All of us start hearing things across the park or in the trees. Feel like we are being watched. Decide fuck the tire and the rim. We are leaving now. Drive and don't stop until we are well off that road. Be current year. Reading Greentext stories on X and remember this. Check these pictures for the first time in years. Realize they were taken at 3:36 a.m. My face when, the witching hour. My face when, the knock and flat likely occurred at right around 3:22 a.m. That's pretty much it for the paranormal part. I will say, the lug nuts being seized was strange to me. I know my way around cars, and I use a torque wrench when I do my tires. The rest of the night and morning was pretty stupid too, and involved catching the night security at a Mercedes dealer, playing COD 4 online at the main display in the showroom, but nothing paranormal. Pick related is what I took of the park, but I couldn't see anything too odd about it. I don't know if I've posted this before, but this is my first true spook story. I've had shit like sleep paralysis, but I always knew it was a hallucination, sort of this. I don't know about this though. I'm Canadian. It is about 2014, and I live in Scarborough. Best friend lives on a really old forested street. I am at his house. There were 2 girls over. We have been double dating these 2 girls, but I soon realized it was not my thing. Told my friend that I had no intention of making out with this girl, and that bruh, please do not leave me alone with her. Ends up making out with her friend in his washroom. Shit, I'm left alone. The Island was playing. I try to make small talk about the movie and keep things PG. Soon I realize I have to escape. It's about 3 o'clock. Text my friend and he's like, shit, sorry, and he manages to escape washroom. To be fair, while I cock-blocked him, he wasn't into that girl either. Make up BS about how I have to be at work, and that I'm fairly conservative and take my time. Friend backs this up. I leave. I've only had a few glasses of whiskey and I'm fine. Walking down the street. It's dark as fuck. I've been out here many times, so I am okay. I hear faint giggles in the distance, though the street seems dead empty. At the end of the road, there is a house with a row of densely packed trees and a long, gated fence. I see a large, white orb / sphere floating in a pattern between the trees. Spooked the fuck out, I call out. Is someone fucking with me? I pick up a piece of sharp wood lying in a ditch and continue down the road. There is nothing in front of this house, and I couldn't fathom how anything could have gotten that high up near the trees and fence. I have no idea what I saw. Street seemed dead silent, other than that giggle, and no one was around. Creeped me out. I have a few paranormal stories, mainly campfire story kind of stuff. Spooky, but probably has an explanation. And while I'm a bit of a skeptic, I did live in a house I would call haunted because of a few unexplainable things. The house was built in the 20s. No known deaths or anything crazy in its history, but I would definitely say it was haunted. Quite a few weird bumps and doors open that were left closed, but I'll post the notable things. Be me, watching house while family on vacation. Go upstairs. There is a circular wooden staircase in the corner of the house, leading to a central hallway. The upstairs rooms are around. The master bed and 2 bedrooms, connected by a bathroom. I'm staying in one. As I go upstairs, switch the stair light off and the hall light on. Halfway down hallway, hear the switches physically click behind me. Now the stairs light is on, and I'm halfway down the hallway in the dark. Nope. Head back to switches and turn them back to the position they were in. Hear running water in wall and faucet turn on in master bedroom. Nope too, nope harder. Grab pistol from car and search house, all closets, etc. Attic access in furnished 3rd floor is open. Small space. Nothing in there or out of place. Move furniture in front of access door. Arm alarm. Sleep in car that night, because fuck that. Another time. Living in garage apartment in college. Get on Skype on Xbox One Connect to connect with some buddies who've moved away before playing Vidya. Testing Skype on Connect. Has a cool function where the camera zoom will follow your upper body/face if you get up and walk around. It's cool, so I enable it. In call with buddies. Camera keeps switching from me and tracking nothing, zooming into random places, and sometimes slowly panning the room behind me. This happened a few times. This shouldn't have happened, because when it did, I was seated in front of the camera, so it should be tracking me. Buddies know about the house and make haunted house jokes. We only lived in the house for a few years. The next owners demolished it. Nothing spooky. Rich people next door bought it slowly to add its plot of land to theirs. They also bought one other house while we were living there, whose property touched theirs, that they demolished and built an addition on. Plenty of other things happened, but were more explainable, like opening doors or creaky floor in the attic. Only one other story is a dream I had, but that is pretty subjective. I'll Greentext it for giggles. Be in garage apartment. Be dreaming, but not knowing I'm dreaming. Get out of bed. The room is dark. Not just dark, but like high contrast dark. Like moonlight indoors in a black and white film. I didn't really process this in the dream, but did when I woke up. Hit light switch. Light doesn't come on. Must be the breaker. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere around the garage. Walk downstairs and into backyard. Backyard is different. Where some patio furniture we had put with stones and a pergola instead had a bit of shed there, mostly enclosed on 3 sides, more of a lean-to, with some miscellaneous tables and stuff. Walk inside, looking for Beaker. Hear the sound of the heater kicking on. Wait, doesn't that mean the power is on? Wake up in bed at like 2 a.m. It was a dream. Incredibly lucid, and I woke up with a photographic memory of it. Weird dream, but I wouldn't really include it in the haunted house story, but it stuck with me.